Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories.
The pool patrol, the community pool, was usually the best place to be on a hot summer day. Kids splashing, parents relaxing, the smell of chlorine and sunscreen in the air. I'm Nora Brooks, and I live right by the pool, so I see everything. This summer, though, the peace was shattered by Karen. She rarely, if ever, used the pool herself, preferring to complain about the temperature or the noise from her meticulously manicured backyard. One evening, just as the sun was starting to dip, I saw a couple of teenagers, Miles Donovan and Phoebe Jennings, quietly swimming laps. They were good kids, always polite, and often helped out around the neighborhood. The pool was technically closed, but it was just past closing time, and they weren't making any noise, just enjoying the cool water. Suddenly, a piercing whistle ripped through the air. Karen, she was standing at the edge of her yard, a furious expression on her face, clutching a phone to her ear. Yes, hello. I need to report a trespassing. A gang of rowdy teenagers. They're disturbing the peace. It's an absolute menace. Her voice, somehow, carried over the water, making Miles and Phoebe freeze mid-stroke. They looked at each other, confused, then at Karen, who was now gesticulating wildly towards them. Within minutes, 2 police cruisers pulled up, lights flashing. Miles and Phoebe quickly got out of the pool, wrapped in their towels, looking bewildered. The officers, Officer Carter Vaughn and Officer Liam Porter, approached them calmly. "Evening, folks. We got a call about a disturbance," Officer Vaughn said, his tone even. Karen, however, wasn't done. She stomped over, her eyes blazing. "These hooligans, they're breaking the rules. Arrest them. They're probably high on something, disturbing the peace, disrupting the entire neighborhood." Officer Porter held up a hand. "Ma'am, they appear to be quietly swimming. There's no indication of any disturbance." He looked at Miles and Phoebe. "Are you 2 residents here?" "Yes, sir," Miles replied, his voice a bit shaky. "We just finished our laps. We were just leaving." Karen scoffed loudly. "Laps? Don't insult my intelligence. They're up to no good, I tell you. This is a clear violation. You have to arrest them." The officers exchanged a look that clearly said, "Oh, it's her again." They talked to Miles and Phoebe for a few more minutes, then let them go with a polite warning about after-hours use. As the teens walked away, Karen continued to harangue the officers, demanding they press charges, citing negligence and community endangerment. The officers, looking utterly defeated, eventually just drove off. The next morning, the pool gate was chained shut. Not just a simple lock, but a thick, rusty chain wrapped multiple times, secured with a padlock big enough for a bank vault. And then there were the signs, handwritten, scrawled in angry red marker. "Pool closed. Danger! Toxic chemicals. Enter at your own risk. Protect the children." Residents started to gather, murmuring in disbelief. "What in the world?" asked Emma Charlotte, a mom who brought her kids to the pool every day. "Who did this?" Then, Karen emerged from her house, beaming with self-satisfaction. She wore a proud, almost heroic expression, like she'd just saved the world. "I did," she announced, puffing out her chest. "Someone has to protect the children from these irresponsible individuals and their dangerous pool practices. Who knows what germs are lurking in there after dark? And the chemicals, it's a biohazard." A collective groan went through the small crowd. Adrian Cole, who served on the HOA board, stepped forward, his face a mask of controlled anger. "Karen, what are you doing? You can't just chain up the community pool. This is for everyone." "Oh, but I can," she retorted, her chin held high. "I'm protecting the children. You people are too naive to see the threats. I'm taking a stand for safety and community values. And if any of you try to cut this chain, I will sue you. For property damage, for endangering the public. I know my rights." She stood guard by the chain gate, like a dragon protecting its hoard, occasionally adjusting one of her alarming, toxic chemicals signs. The whole neighborhood was in an uproar. Kids cried because they couldn't swim. Parents tried reasoning with her, pleading, even yelling, but Karen was immovable. She just repeated her claims about protecting the children and community values, her eyes gleaming with a self-righteous fury. The HOA board held an emergency meeting that evening, the tension thick in the air. The unanimous decision was clear. The chain had to go. They called a locksmith, but Karen, somehow, had already alerted local media, who arrived just as the locksmith was about to cut the chain. A local news van was parked on the street, a reporter with a microphone standing ready. Karen, seeing her moment, posed dramatically by the gate, ready to deliver her passionate speech about community safety. Just as the camera rolled, and she began to speak, the heavens opened. Not a gentle rain, but a torrential downpour, a sudden, violent summer storm. The wind whipped up, tearing at her signs, drenching her instantly. Her perfectly coiffed hair plastered to her face, her heroic pose dissolving into a shivering mess. The locksmith, seizing the moment amidst the chaos, quickly cut the chain with a loud snap, the metal falling uselessly to the ground. Karen, soaked to the bone and utterly humiliated, shrieked in disbelief, her voice lost in the thunder. As the neighborhood kids, cheering, rushed past her and jumped into the refreshing pool, completely oblivious to the now drenched and defeated self-proclaimed pool protector. The potluck provocation. The community potluck was supposed to be a chill Sunday afternoon. Sun was out, folks were laughing, and the smell of various home-cooked dishes filled the air. I, Wesley Brooks, was there with my famous 3-bean salad, trying to find a spot on the already crowded tables. That's when I saw her. Karen. She was standing by the main vegan table, hands on her hips, a scowl etched on her face that could curdle milk. "What in the world is this?" she boomed, her voice cutting through the pleasant hum of conversation. People nearby stopped, their forks halfway to their mouths. "Vegan? Seriously, are we living in some kind of commune now?" A young woman, Lily Hart, one of the organizers, stepped forward, a polite but weary smile on her face. "Welcome, ma'am. We have a variety of options today. And yes, we have a dedicated vegan section to accommodate everyone." Karen scoffed, a sound like a leaky tire. "Everyone? What about us normal people? Where's the real food? This is an outrage. You're pushing an agenda here. I tell you, a soy-filled, meat-free agenda." A few people chuckled nervously, but most just stared, transfixed by the unfolding spectacle. Lily, bless her patience, tried again. "You're welcome to bring your own dish, as many people have, if you have specific dietary preferences." That's all the invitation Karen needed. Her eyes gleamed with a disturbing resolve. She marched off to her car, leaving a trail of uncomfortable silence in her wake. We all exchanged glances, a collective groan escaping us when she reappeared, struggling with a massive aluminum foil-covered tray. She marched straight back to the vegan table, pushing aside a quinoa salad and a plate of roasted vegetables, and with a flourish, unveiled her creation. A mountain of glistening, bacon-wrapped sausages. She plopped the tray right in the center of the vegan spread, a triumphant smirk plastered on her face. "There! Real food! For those of us who appreciate flavor and, actual nutrients." A murmur went through the crowd. Some people looked disgusted, others just bewildered. A kid, maybe 8 years old, pointed at the sausages and whispered, "Mommy, what's that meat doing there?" His mother, Celine Foster, quickly steered him away. Karen, oblivious or perhaps simply uncaring, then began her crusade. She weaved through the crowd, accosting anyone within earshot. "Are you aware of the dangers of soy? It's practically poison, and these so-called vegan dishes. Who knows what allergens are lurking in them? I might just have to call the health inspector. This is a public health hazard." She cornered poor Owen Barrett, who was just trying to enjoy his lentil soup, and launched into a 20-minute lecture about the evils of plant-based protein. Owen looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. Meanwhile, the bacon grease from her sausages started to seep onto the tablecloth, a greasy stain slowly spreading towards a beautiful platter of fruit. The mood of the potluck shifted. Laughter died down, replaced by an uneasy quiet. People started packing up their dishes, whispering amongst themselves. The joy had been sucked right out of the event, replaced by a suffocating awkwardness thanks to Karen's relentless ranting. Then, the final straw. Karen, apparently not satisfied with merely contaminating the vegan table and terrorizing the guests, spotted the large communal bowl of hummus. It was a popular dish, a creamy, garlicky delight that everyone was enjoying. "Aha!" she shrieked, making me jump. "Hummus! This is practically a gateway drug to, what do you call it, alternative lifestyles." This is against community values. I'm confiscating it." Before anyone could react, she lunged for the bowl. Lily, the organizer, tried to intervene. "Ma'am, please. That's for everyone." But Karen was a force of nature. She wrapped her arms around the ceramic bowl, grunting with effort, and began to waddle away with it. People watched, mouths agape, as Karen, hugging the hummus like a precious artifact, started making her exit. The potluck, which had started with such promise, dissolved into chaos. Suddenly, a trip. Karen, in her hummus hoarding frenzy, didn't see the stray picnic blanket someone had left unfolded. Her foot caught, she stumbled, and for a heart-stopping moment, time seemed to slow down. The hummus bowl flew from her grasp, arcing through the air like a clay pigeon. It shattered on the asphalt with a sickening crunch, a creamy explosion of chickpeas and tahini splattering across her pristine white sundress and the shoes of an unsuspecting passerby, Jasper Flynn, who had just arrived, oblivious to the unfolding drama. Karen let out a shriek that could shatter glass, a primal sound of pure, unadulterated rage. Her face, already contorted, turned a shade of puce that defied description. She stood amidst the wreckage of the potluck in her dignity, covered in hummus, and a terrifying silence descended upon the remaining attendees. Everyone held their breath, wondering what fresh hell she would unleash next. The self-checkout standoff. The fluorescent lights of Fresh Mart usually hummed with the quiet efficiency of a well-oiled machine. But not today. Today, the air crackled with a different kind of energy, a low thrum of irritation that had a name. Karen. Graham Turner, was just trying to grab a loaf of bread and some milk after a long shift, but the self-checkout area had become a war zone. Fresh Mart had just put in these new self-checkout machines, shiny and modern, meant to make things quicker. Most people were figuring them out, a bit clumsy at first, but getting there. Not Karen. She stood in front of the bank of new machines, arms crossed, glaring at them as if they had personally offended her. "This is an absolute disgrace," she announced, her voice echoing a little too loudly in the otherwise polite hum of the grocery store. "Where are the people? Where are the cashiers? Are they trying to eliminate jobs? This is absurd." A young store employee, Liam Porter, a kid who looked barely out of high school, approached her cautiously. "Excuse me, ma'am, can I help you with something? The self-checkout is quite easy to use. I can show you." Karen spun around, her eyes narrowing. "Easy? For whom? For robots? I demand a personal cashier. I've been shopping here for 15 years, and I will not be forced to do their job for them." Liam, bless his soul, tried to explain. "We have regular lanes open, ma'am, just over there. These are just an option for quicker service." He pointed to a couple of traditional checkout lanes, where a few people were patiently waiting. "An option?" Karen practically snarled. "This is a mandatory inconvenience. You people are trying to ruin my shopping experience. Open a lane for me, now. I have a full cart." I glanced at her cart. It was indeed full, mostly with what looked like individual bananas. Dozens of them, stacked high. Weird. Liam, looking increasingly flustered, politely declined. "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't open a new lane just for one customer when others are waiting. You're welcome to use the self-checkout or one of the manned lanes." That was it. Karen's face turned a shade of crimson that matched the sale signs hanging overhead. "Fine, if I have to do it myself. I'll do it properly." She wheeled her overflowing cart right up to a self-checkout machine, practically ramming it into the scanner. "Then," she started. She picked up a banana, held it up like it was a rare artifact, and slowly, painstakingly, tried to find the barcode. She rotated it, squinted at it, even sniffed it. "You see," she bellowed to no one in particular, though everyone within 20 feet was definitely listening. "Impossible. This is what happens when you automate everything. No human touch." A line started to form behind her. People shifted their weight, exchanged exasperated glances. Karen, meanwhile, began loudly coaching other shoppers. "No, no, darling, you're doing it all wrong. You have to cradle it like a baby. Gently, don't just slap it on there. You'll break the poor machine." She reached over and adjusted a woman's grip on a bag of apples, earning herself a glare. The traffic jam around the self-checkout area grew. People abandoned their carts, opting for the longer lines at the traditional registers. The air became thick with a quiet tension, the kind that precedes a storm. Karen, oblivious to the chaos she was creating, was now in a full-blown performance, narrating her every move. Now, this orange, is it organic? The machine wouldn't know, would it? It has no soul. This is why we need people. Finally, a harried manager, a woman named Ivy Drake, rushed over, her walkie-talkie practically buzzing with frustrated calls. "Ma'am, I understand there's an issue." Karen pivoted dramatically. "An issue? This entire system is an issue. I am staging a sit-in. I refuse to leave until you..." The manager, "Apologize for ruining my shopping experience and for subjecting your loyal customers to this digital nightmare." And with that, she carefully, almost ceremoniously, sat down, right in front of the self-checkout registers. Cross-legged, her mountain of bananas towered over her, a strange, yellow monument to her protest. Shoppers tried to navigate around her, their carts bumping awkwardly. Ivy's face was a mixture of disbelief and utter defeat. She looked at the growing crowd, the overflowing cart of bananas, and the woman staging a grocery store occupation. The situation was quickly becoming a public relations nightmare. Ivy, after a long, silent moment, sighed deeply. "Ma'am," she began, her voice strained but remarkably calm, "I apologize if our new system has caused you any inconvenience. We are simply trying to offer more options for our customers." Karen folded her arms, a smug look on her face. "An apology is a start, but it's not enough. What about restitution? For my wasted time? For the emotional distress?" Ivy, looking desperate to de-escalate the situation, reached into her pocket. "How about a coupon, ma'am? A gesture of goodwill?" She produced a crisp, new coupon for 20% off an entire purchase. Karen's eyes lit up, a predatory gleam in them. She snatched the coupon. 20%, you say? Very well, this might suffice." She then slowly, deliberately rose from her sit-in, grabbed her card, and, to everyone's astonishment, proceeded to the self-checkout machine. She meticulously scanned each of her single bananas, one by one, using the 20% off coupon on every single transaction, holding up the entire line for what felt like an eternity, muttering about getting her money's worth. When she finally finished, the machine spat out a ridiculously long receipt. She held it up like a trophy, gave Ivy a triumphant nod, and then, without another word, pushed her cart, now much lighter, out of the store. Everyone watched her go, a collective sigh of relief sweeping through the store, like a wave breaking after a storm. But the lingering question hung in the air. What would she complain about next? And how would Fresh Mart ever recover from the Great Banana Standoff? The Unicorn Uprising. The local library was my favorite place. I'm Asher Hudson, and I spend a lot of time there, helping out with the kids' reading programs. It's a quiet haven, full of stories and discovery. Or, it used to be. Then Karen found out about the Unicorn book. It was a bright, colorful picture book, Sparklehoof's Magical Journey, about a friendly unicorn who learned the importance of kindness. The kids loved it, but Karen, apparently, saw something far more sinister. I was shelving books when I heard her, a shrill voice cutting through the peaceful quiet. "Unicorns? Magic? This is promoting witchcraft in a children's library. This is an outrage." She was holding up Sparklehoof, waving it like it was some kind of dangerous weapon. Jeff Scarsdale, one of the librarians, a gentleman with a perpetually calm demeanor, approached her. "Ma'am, that's a very popular children's book. It's about imagination and friendship." "Imagination?" Karen scoffed, her eyes wide with what she clearly believed was righteous indignation. "This is indoctrination. My taxes pay for this library, and I will not have my children exposed to occult influences. I demand it be removed immediately." Jeff, ever patient, explained the library's policy on intellectual freedom and diverse collections. Karen wasn't listening. Her next stop was the city council meeting. She showed up with Sparklehoof clutched in her hand, dramatically waving it at the bewildered council members. "This book," she declared, her voice echoing in the council chambers, "is a direct threat to our community's moral fabric. It's filled with symbols of darkness. I demand a full audit of this library's collection. Who knows what other depraved material is lurking on those shelves? The council members, clearly uncomfortable, listened politely. They thanked her for her concerns, but ultimately denied her request for an audit, citing the library's mission to provide a wide range of materials. Karen left the meeting muttering about spineless bureaucrats and the end of civilization as we know it. We thought that was the end of it. We were wrong. A few days later, a child came up to me, tears welling in his eyes. "Mr. Hudson, I can't find Sparklehoof. It's my favorite. We checked the shelves. No, Sparklehoof." Then another child reported the same thing. And another. Soon, it became clear. All copies of Sparklehoof's Magical Journey were missing. We ordered more, of course, but it was strange. One afternoon, I saw Karen in the children's section. She wasn't checking out books. She was meticulously placing them on random shelves. A picture book about farm animals hidden behind a dense biography. A teen novel tucked inside a cookbook. She was humming to herself, a triumphant, almost gleeful tune. She spotted me watching her, and her eyes, usually narrowed in suspicion, held a brief, unsettling flicker of satisfaction before she quickly turned away. Then, the anonymous notes started appearing, tucked inside other children's books, slipped under car windshields in the library parking lot. Beware the pagan influence. Protect your children from the occult. Check the library's dangerous titles. They were clearly handwritten, with the same frantic, angry energy as Karen's signs at the pool. A few parents came to us, worried by the notes. "Is there really witchcraft in the library?" One mother, Maria Sanchez, asked, looking genuinely concerned. We reassured them, explaining that the library was a safe space for all kinds of stories. Meanwhile, the new copies of Sparklehoof arrived. We put them out, but they disappeared just as quickly. It was like a game of whack-a-mole. Karen, we realized, was systematically checking out every single copy and then hiding them around the library, or maybe even taking them home. She had even created a spreadsheet, we later found out, meticulously tracking what she considered dangerous titles, her own personal blacklist. The librarians, however, weren't about to back down. Jeff, usually so mild-mannered, had a glint in his eye. "She wants to ban unicorns?" he said one morning to the team, a small smile playing on his lips. "Fine, we'll give her more unicorns than she can handle." The next week, the library transformed. Banners appeared, sparkling with glitter and rainbows. "Unicorns welcome here." A unicorn reading challenge was announced, encouraging kids to read books about magical creatures. There were unicorn-themed story times, crafts, even a pin the horn on the unicorn game. The library was awash in glitter and the joyful squeals of children. Karen, predictably, was furious. She stomped into the library, her face a thundercloud. "What is the meaning of this?" she shrieked, pointing at a giant inflatable unicorn. "You are deliberately defying me. This is an assault on common sense." Jeff, standing by a display of dozens of new Sparklehoof copies, all prominently featured, simply smiled. "It's a celebration of imagination, ma'am. We believe all stories have a place here." Karen, her jaw practically on the floor, looked around at the happy children, the rainbow decorations, the overwhelming, undeniable presence of unicorns. She looked utterly defeated. Her grand campaign to eradicate the mythical creatures turned into a vibrant, glittery celebration. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out, only a frustrated sputter. She spun on her heel and stormed out of the library, leaving behind a trail of unfulfilled rage and the sweet, triumphant smell of glitter. The unicorn uprising was complete, and the library, more vibrant than ever, settled back into its joyful hum.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share.